of Wojiriba Federal Constituency from Enugu State. Mr. Chairman, the motion regarding Twitter, they had very clear instructions on what to do. To immediately commence an investigation to determine the circumstances of the decision by the federal government of Nigeria to suspend the operations of Twitter in Nigeria. The legal authority for the suspension on the operations of Twitter in Nigeria. Invite the Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Alai Mohammed, to brief the House of Representatives on the objectives, intent, and duration of the suspension of Twitter in Nigeria. Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, none of the 5 recommendations have answered any of the questions. Recommending for creation of an amicable room for a room for amicable settlement speaks to no issue. That relevant government institutions as National Broadcasting Commission, Nigeria Communication Satellite, etc., should be alive to their mandate by doing the needful to avoid future occurrence of this. What does it mean? So, Mr. Speaker, furthermore, that the federal government should take into cognizance the negative effect of the Twitter suspension on Nigerians who depends on the platform for their livelihood. Take cognizance of what they are taking cognizance. So we should be responding to what the Parliament have asked you to do. There should be a ban or no ban, and there should be an anchor, a basis for it. So the committee has not done a prudent work because they have not asked Parliament to take any resolution on this matter. So it speaks to no issue. Asking government on the SIG recommendation, government should always communicate, better with Nigerians when critical decisions are to be made. What does that mean? So, Mr. Chairman, I will say that this report should go, should not be considered. Because as a matter of fact, when you look at it properly, the same breaches or no breaches, the same regulations that should be guiding Facebook, that should be guiding other social media handles, are the ones that will guiding Twitter. So I think that the committee should go and do a thorough job to tell us that there is a legal anchor for it, and why is there no legal anchor for the decision on these other social media groups? So I think that they have not.
They quoted the relevant section. They quoted the relevant section. If you go through the findings from this South African something like that, I saw it there. They quoted the section that empowered the federal government to do that. But I thought they should put the report seasonally addressing the issues that were raised in the prayers of the motion, and that's why I was going to ask. Yes, sir. Okay.
Cut through the chase and address the salient points based on the mandate that was given to the committee. The mandates were very clear, and Honorable Toby read out the mandate. But for the avoidance of doubt, I will read the mandate out again. To immediately commence an investigation to determine the circumstances of the decision by the federal government of Nigeria to suspend the operation of Twitter. Perhaps maybe not in copious language, but I think that has been addressed. 2, the legal authority for the suspension on the operation of Twitter in Nigeria. Again, but this time in copious language, that has been addressed. Citing specific authorities and laws made by Parliament. 3, invite the Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, to brief the House of Representatives on the objectives, intent, and duration of the suspension of Twitter in Nigeria. I believe Alhaji Lai Mohammed was invited. 3, the Joint Committees conducted an investigative hearing on Tuesday, 22nd of June 2021, with the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture in audience to brief the committee on the objectives, intent, and duration of the suspension of Twitter. Again, I believe that was done, and it was not done in secret. I believe it was covered, video, audio, print, and we all saw it. I think it is uncharitable, almost disingenuous, to come and try and lampoon the work done by the committee. Whatever side of the divide we are on, the committee has discharged its responsibility objectively. They have called the minister who is seized of the facts. They have cited and quoted. The minister has reiterated the laws upon which he operated. Now, if you go to the recommendations which Honorable Toby has a problem with, the recommendations are very clear. They may not be as straight to the point as we want. And that is the idea, the whole idea of consideration of reports. You can interject, you can amend, you can put in your own recommendation based on the findings. Based on the findings. You can recommend if you want to recommend. Let us know, be cognizant of the fact that the issue of Twitter, or this particular issue, is unusual. It's not your clear-cut, whatever. It involves national security. It involves freedom of speech. It is a medium that we all know that it is almost novel. It's internet. So it must be handled delicately. The balance must be between national security and freedom of speech. And that is what the committee has tried to do. From when I read the recommendation, they were not on the side of government. They made it clear that government should have been more proactive in communicating. They made it clear that government did not do certain things which they should have done. So if Honorable Toby or anybody has an issue or they want to add to the recommendation, by all means, you have a right to do that. But to say the committee should go back and we're prolonging something that is already out there, there's dialogue between Twitter and government. In fact, at this point, we can't even preempt the outcome of the dialogue. We can't even preempt the outcome of the dialogue. So, if you have a recommendation, or you are not satisfied with this particular recommendation, then amend it. We just finished a 318 paragraph amendment. There was a point where we took section 240 something, which we disagreed with, and we amended it. That is what we do with reports here. We don't send, we are past that stage where we begin to play to the gallery or try to do. No, amend what you have to amend. Bring a more forthcoming recommendation if there is any need.
A little bit so that we are writing reports. And if we are writing reports, I want to beg so that you don't give them the cover. And tomorrow we run into problem. We may run into problem because, like on the matter that has been raised, I was the first to raise the matter, and I'm convinced beyond reasonable doubt that truly they need to have exhausted more avenues in terms of their own destiny. I just wrote one point. It borders on security, and if it borders on security, just for the mere fact that the motion in its body content says invite the minister, does not stop them or preclude them from inviting the national security advisor. It's for us to hear from the other side. Hearing from the minister who may just have a tip, a small percentage of information cannot be a basis for writing a recommendation that Nigerian government have taken based on security. And it should not have been so. I still want, excuse me, excuse me, I still want to say that they needed to have gone further. And you see, it has shown even from the report that the two chairmen, one, national security, who is supposed to be called a person very active, is not even a participant in it. It has rendered the work, as far as I'm concerned, to some extent, not thoroughly done. And it is not, no, please. If you have issues, I am not, that's not the basis. We are now saying, as a house,
Point of order, Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry I preempted, I stood up before you. But sometimes, as Speaker, you get a privilege. That's a privilege. Now, let me just say this. Mr. Chairman, I totally agree with you that some jobs may not be exhaustive. It happens. And we've had reports like that. But who determines what exhausts? Some people will say you should even go beyond the NSA director. Some people will say invite the president. Some people say, so who determines? Once we have given a committee a mandate, and that mandate is even restrictive, unfortunately the committee should have expanded and gone beyond and said, okay, look, NSA, let's invite NSA. But we must also understand, Mr. Chairman, that that mandate had a time limit of 10 days. And even already, people were already wondering, what happened to your 10 days? It's now 2 weeks, it's now 3 weeks. There's got to be a beginning and an end to any investigation. So they had 10 days. This is almost 3 weeks later, because we went on vacation. So it's important that even though they may not have exhausted all, from the facts and the findings, is that enough? Have they done enough fact finding? I believe that they have. I believe that they have. You know, so I don't think there's anything else. There's anything else that the NSA will come and tell the committee that the committee has not already been told by the minister who actually announced the suspension.
And I stood in for the chairman, House Committee on Justice. Mr. Chairman, when you look at the letter authorizing the committee to do this job, two basic points are contained in the letter. Investigate the circumstances that led to the federal government suspension of Twitter and the legal authority. And express mention of one thing is to the exclusion of the other. We were specifically asked to look at the circumstances that led to the ban and the legal basis. We can't expand our scope beyond that. And in the motion, again, there was a specific mention of a minister again, and that specific mention of one thing is to the exclusion of the other. We have no capacity to expand our scope. And the mandate given to the committee, Mr. Chairman, let me have my own talk. The ruling is yours. Mr. Chairman, the exact assignment given to the committee was carried out. We look at the legal basis. We invited the office of the Attorney General, who is the chief law officer of this country. We invited the Minister of Information, who announced the ban, to explain to us the circumstances. And the same minister that was mentioned in the motion. Mr. Chairman, it seems to us that within the mandate given to us and the motion itself, we have exhausted all the needful.
In terms of this, you could have stated clearly, said that when the Nigerian government acted was in line with social section and their action is in order. He didn't make that statement. And that's the truth.
Been made is that the word by the chairman was on the circumstances. It does not mean the opinion of the minister, who had already made his opinion known when he banned Twitter. Mr. Chairman, it would have been prudent to express how the things that the minister you already know his opinion before he's coming. the legal authority, which is the person you invited, and that is what you are making reference to here. There is no other legal
Chairman.
Now that we have a legal framework that have exonerated the government, it was supposed to mention clearly that the government acted in good faith and in line with provision of so as a finding. These are the things that I thought we should be discussing, so that yes, we have done this, but the issue is that did the government act in good faith? Was it in line with the constitution?
What of us on social media?
No. Clearly state that the government acted in good faith.
Is Babangida Ibrahim one. Now at the end of it, and they now say it's ongoing. So there's contradiction to enter and ongoing. So I want to amend that the time be allowed for the federal government of Nigeria and Twitter to continue the dialogue process, which is ongoing. To continue the dialogue process, which is ongoing, because...
No.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, my honorable colleague.
Amendment saying, against the recommendation 2.
Yeah, recommendation. And should therefore...
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, my dear colleagues. Engineer Solomon, I rise to second that we include
The next amendment. The question 3 to plan to report
Report progress.